So yeah, mid-June, another 10 days flown by, and a lot of them have been with me planning the cabaret, although I've been having a few rages too. Practice with a band, it's good. I've decided to do solid rock, the Goanna song. And I rang Roscoe the other day to get the words. I think I can do it well. I couldn't. I've become very friendly with the Welsh brickies, Colin and Bob. I took them up the falls last Saturday, souvenir shopping. We all had very bad hangovers, but after lunch went to the Rainbow and started drinking in the sun. The day ended, oh well, I had dinner at the Coke Oven with Colin. Oh, my tour itinerary arrived. I can pick up my ticket. Bob and I got onto these two coloured girls, Trish and Liz. We had a couple of nights of singing, drinking and dancing with these girls. It was good fun. One night I didn't sleep at all till 6:30 AM. Wow. I bought some material and took it to the tailors to get some pants made for the cabaret. Very exciting. Now I'm in Matari for the Phillips wedding. We left Wanky yesterday at about 10:30 and I spent a nice night in Bulawayo, the Mina. I really like that girl, she makes me feel good. The boys here have gone out on a pub crawl. I declined. How I detest boys' outings. Interesting. Yeah, I think we went over to a wedding. I think that's... Yeah. Matari, I think we went to a wedding. He was a friend of Dad's. 21st of June, it's that time of week for the blues Sunday night. The cabaret went off last night and generally I was happy with it. It was a lot of fun and all worked out as planned. I drank too much and went with Trish up to the hill and we were dancing until late. All in all, a good night. I glanced back at last entry. The wedding was okay, nothing special. Good food and I was lined up with a fat young thing. I did have some fun talking to these two boys. One looked similar to me at that age. They were asking me questions, all very polite. I enjoyed it. I drove up to the little game park to see the rhino, but no luck. So what happened was I met this girl at the wedding. Yeah, she was quite pretty, but a little tubby, but who am I to speak? And Dad had said that he was going to go home. We were continuing to drink, me and this girl. So Dad said, I'm going to go home. So he left, and then I offered to take this girl home in the car. So we parked the car outside her place, and we started canoodling in the front seat of the car, kissing and having a bit of a feel. When from the back seat, Dad sat up. He got home, and the house had been locked, so he just got into the car and fell asleep. That was pretty funny. The drive back wasn't so bad really. I drove most of the way. On arriving in Bulawayo, found Amina had gone off to the falls with Isabel, that's another sister, Wally, friend. So I was a bit put out. Went up and had the leather pants measured for me. Should be good. Red. Okay, well here it says leather. I think they were suede. Before we left Bulawayo, I got Dad to go to the Matopos with me. It was good. We went rhino tracking on horse. Once again missed rhino, but it was fun. The last week has been rehearsal each night. We were really tight. In the end, put my passport in for a South African visa. It should be ready Friday. Meanwhile, I've decided to go to Bulawayo tonight by train. Forgot to tell I had my hair cut too. Short, so I blonded it to save some face. It's not too bad now. So now the 29th, the end of June. Definitely a double entry here. How many times have I thought I must make an entry in this book? To catch up from last entry, Dad dropped me at Thompson's Junction on the Sunday night. We waiting on a train. However, sleepers on the second class were full and I didn't fancy economy. Also feeling a bit down, I decided to walk to Wanky, 1.5 hours. Anyway, got the train on the Monday to find the Russian rugby team also on the train. Bulawayo Tuesday morning and I walked to Amina's. Dumped my bag and bus back to town where I do a little business, but no, Zimbabwe Air, no nothing. of my ticket, as expected. That night, I took Amina to see Crocodile Dundee, preceded by a few drinks in the Bulawayo Sun Hotel. It was a pleasant night. Next day I make the early attempt to go to the Matopos in search of rhino. The Matopos are a set of rocks and hills outside of Bulawayo. It's quite a spiritual place for the Matabele people. But there was like a small game reserve where they had rhino. You could hire horses. There's also some ruins, a bit like the Zimbabwe ruins in the Matopos. Also, the Matopos is where Cecil John Rhodes is buried, along with Leander Starr Jameson in a place called World's View. Fantastic. I leave early and walk a long way, 3 kilometres plus to Matopos Road. In luck I get a bus and it leaves me 4 kilometres from the entrance. I walk to the horse hire place, but they tell me all are at lunch till 2 p.m. It's now 11, so I go walking again. I walk approximately 5 kilometres and notice a huge grey shape with a horn laying sleeping. I was so thrilled I took off all baggage and crept to within 20 paces of the beast, with only a flimsy tree between us. The wind changes and the game's up. She stands and shakes her head. A youngster is with her. With a snort, they crash off into the bush. I followed them twice but couldn't get as close again. I walked back cross country to Hazelside and we took the horses out for 3 hours. Wow, to Rhodes' grave. Yeah, that was real dangerous, walking up to a bloody sleeping mother rhinoceros with a youngster there. I got back at 5:15 p.m. and walked 5 kilometres to the main road, then in cold and darkness began walking and hiking. I was lucky to get a lift to town, but hell, I froze. I stopped at Ray's, had dinner, then on to Amina's to have dinner again. I went to bed blistered, aching but happy. Next day I did more business in town, still no sign of my ticket. Tried to ring Pauline but got Megan, that's my niece. I bought a leather jacket off Max at the Waverley. A quiet day in Wanky. When I got back I was expecting Amina on the train Saturday morning, but she never pitched up, so I came back to the game park instead. It's been bliss all alone. I spent the first night at Main Camp, second at Cinematella, and now here at Robbins Camp. I must be back in the Wanky Game Reserve, which I think is best. Robbins Camp is real remote and real bush-like. Hardly anyone ever went there when I was there. I've seen a hyena, a lioness, bat-eared fox, and took some real close shots of elephant. Oh, my pants are ready in Bulawayo. I hope to leave for South Africa this week and can pick them up on the way. Got my Aussie passport back with South African visa all set to go now. So the 2nd of the 7th of June, July now. Sitting waiting for the phone in Bulawayo Post Office to ring Di. She's already written to me and told me no more further contact. What the hell am I trying to ring her for? 3 days go by and I haven't had any no success there. She wasn't home. Actually, I've had little success with much here. The bus to Johannesburg full until the 23rd. Train only on Monday, and me with a mild dose of flu. I got to Bulawayo on Thursday, had a quiet night. Still no luck with my air ticket, but Dad told me that Pauline rang to say she just paid the ticket. So I was too hasty. Friday night we went to Alabama and saw a girl singing, not too bad. I picked my pants up earlier in the night. They look quite good. I'm impressed. Okay. I had planned to try hitchhiking early Saturday morning, but Ray said he could get me a lift to Francistown on Monday morning, so I spent the weekend here at Amina's. It's been quiet, but not unpleasant. Yeah, where she lived, Amina, was in a place called Thorngrove. It was real African. You didn't see any white people out there. In the days of Rhodesia, Thorngrove would have been a segregated area. The whites would have lived in the nice suburbs and Thorngrove was for the workers. So yeah, I used to stay at Amina's place, one of those huts a bit like I've described in other episodes, where no windows, no glass on the windows, just a corrugated roof, brick walls, open living, you know, but neighbours always coming by and us going over to see neighbours, listening to music, sitting around fires, talking to them, drinking a lot of beer, dancing, and just being made to feel special by the Africans. I loved it. Today we were going to head out to see some old friends in Thorngrove, but that remains to be seen. Yeah, Thorngrove's where she lived. Oh, I was very happy. Just before leaving the game park last Tuesday, I saw 2 rhino. I took 2 photos, not real close, but at least I saw 2 more. So it rounded off the trip nicely. In those days I was really into rhinoceros conservation. I still am, but I don't have anything to do with it anymore. I love those guys. I hope they can survive, but I don't know. Anyway, halfway through July, another hangover. I'm now in my Soper Road Hotel in Hillbrow after ending up taking the train, so I must be in Johannesburg now. From Bulawayo on Tuesday. It wasn't a bad trip. Had a drunk who snored all night, and I was caught by customs with $56 in my wallet. They took 30 of it off me, but gave me the opportunity to spend some at the bar. I arrived in Joburg at 1 p.m. on the Wednesday. First thing I did was buy a Wurstboot. Yeah, they were these fantastic German sausages in Joburg. Then looked for the Allendine. That was the place Tom and I stayed in '83, the Allendine Hotel in Hillbrow, closed for renovations. Anyhow, I got this place for only 20 Rand a night. It's close to the Chelsea. My first night was really good. I got a pizza and I was feeling a bit down. Went to the Skyline bar and got talking to students who were such nice guys. Gay. Yeah, this is interesting. These 2 guys, they were a bit younger than me, were about my age, but I found myself hanging out in gay bars. And I did have a thing with these guys. I don't know if I'm going to say it here, but one of them, yeah, he took me home. I stayed at his place one night. Got up in the morning and his mum gave us breakfast. They were a hell of a nice guys, and they were so friendly and polite. White guys. They were at university, and they took me to a party and all that. But yeah, I mean, am I open about my sexuality in here? Probably not. Maybe not. They really bought me everything. They took me to Jamison's to see a band, then out to the Thunderdome, which was quite good. I got home after 3 a.m. I've been wandering around shopping, and on the 12th of the 7th I'm on my way to Brakpan on the train. I can't say I'm too thrilled at the prospect. And then I've written discontinued due to the flu, train motion and laziness. So that must have been the next time I saw Brian, my mate from school. He mentioned it. He remembered when he took me to Brakpan last year. He remembered me rocking up, and we went and got a curry burger at the place in Brakpan. So yeah, mid-July. Flu has blocked my nose and thoughts. Consequently, I'm not sure of sequence of events which I will write. I went out Saturday to the flea market to look for clothes, no luck, but it was sunny and pleasant, and I met Derek. He's one of the gay boys here from the university. We had a few beers together. Very relaxed atmosphere. He dropped me back at Soper Lodge, where I promptly fell asleep in a bath. Thoughts of you, Christina, my bath buddy. I've already omitted to tell you that I went out on my own Friday night. I went to the Chelsea and saw some new wave folk. I think I looked freaking good. Eyeliner, that's interesting. Leather, torn jeans, but not as no woman ever seemed to notice. I'm already wearing eyeliner. So no woman noticed me, but I didn't care too much. Myself a lot. I danced by myself a lot. Okay. So I went to number 58 to see the Beatles in season. Not quite what I expected. I walked in my jeans, my rag jeans, but it was more of a theatre restaurant. But I enjoyed the music nonetheless. Back to the Chelsea, I finished off at 3:30 a.m. Score 4, soda waters and 2 beers. So I got out of order a bit. Now we must go back to Derek and Dave, pick me up, and we go eat pizza. Not so good. On to Trucker's Bar. Yeah, that was like a gay bar they took me to. For a few beers, then to a party, actually a farm party to be precise. Dave and Derek proved themselves to be real cuties by surprising me with a Foster's Lager. Yeah, that's how nice these kids were, these guys were. I chatted to a few girls and met a New Zealander. We went to Randfontein in his BMW to get some Tron-Sky, some dope. So yeah, at the party, I couldn't just be happy with my Foster's Lager. Had to find someone to go and get some dope. So me and this guy in his BMW went across to Randfontein. A strange chap, he gave me all these Zulu bangles which I now sport. A bit like that, I guess. I got a bit ripped on the drive back to the party. We left quite rapidly to go to Idols, a disco. I've no intention of ever revisiting repetitive disco. I shudder in thought. However, not all dismal as Derek introduced me to the poppers. Amyl nitrate. Never had it before. A vial of liquid heaven. Dancing on the floor, one only has to inhale the vial to be overcome with sensations of pure heaven. Similar to an orgasm, but not so messy. Anyhow, we split and went to stay in Brixton. I got home on Sunday morning to find my room cleaned out. Swines had confiscated my baggage. On paying my rent, I went and took the train to Brackpan, wandered up to the Crystals, and voila, I'm home. Of a sorts again. Crystals, 589 Prince George Avenue. That's where we lived when we got to Brackpan. Since then, I just wandered around the town a little, have seen Mr. and Mrs. Moody, and booked for dinner at Agnes's tonight. Rang Terry, we'll be going to rehearsal with him tomorrow night, and finally found Brian's number. So we went to the Savoy last night, drank a bit, and old or young Moffat and Van Rensburg turned up. The latter generation of my buddies. So it looks like I go back to Zimbabwe Thursday week. Enough said. Yeah, Terry was the bass player in Void, Aiden's mate, in the band Void. Went and saw him, I guess. So on the 20th, with cold and blowing fingers numb with cold, I sit in front of the Crystals heater. Terry dropped me off at President Station a few hours ago. He was going to work. He picked me up from Brian's house at midday yesterday. We had a lovely lunch of pizza in Boxburg where we talked and talked. Later went to his house to listen to music and talk more, mostly of bass. It really got my blood going to get into bass guitar. All in all, we enjoyed each other's company very much. Saturday was good. We went to the market, Brian, Colleen, Tony and me. And I've written here in small print, I've been reading Wuthering Heights. How convinced I am that I must surely be Heathcliff and Diane Cathy. How delusional. I bought some bangles and met up with Dave and Derek for a few moments. Later we went on to Elizabeth and husband. A real Dutchman, but I had a lot of laughs with Brian playing with the kids. Saturday night, Brian and I went into Jamison's, met Derek and Dave and saw a band not too unlike Jaluka. I forgot, went round to the Phoenixes on the way to Joburg. It was very pleasant joking with the girls. Just like old days. In fact, they were all sitting around with blankets on their legs as always. I was in good form cracking one-liners, keeping them giggling. I did meet Johan on Friday and we were supposed to go to Joburg together, but he's a mess, a real nut. Eventually got sick of him, so came back to the Crystals. Joe really has gone down. How could I forget? I rang Di on Thursday at work. It was not such a bad call. I was happy after it. Yeah, what can I say? On the train to Bulawayo now, and I'm quite glad. So we're now at the end of July, or heading that way towards the end of it. Dave came to see me off. We had a lovely night together. Went to a Chinese for good food and wine. then went on to see the band at Jamison's, but actually got talking to a doctor and on to the junction, but by this time was surprisingly drunk, so not long there, and Dave let me sleep at his place. So it must have been me and Dave who had a bit of a fling. If anyone knew that I was sleeping with a guy, I look back and I just think how kind those guys were to me and how embarrassed I was by them. Today he took me shopping and I bought a lovely anklet for myself, also some great earrings. Monday I went to the Phoenix girls for dinner. Boy, they can gossip, but Rosemary was very nice to me. I walked back much to the fear of everyone else, but saw not a soul. Tuesday I went to Brian's at night after a lovely last supper at Crystal's. Fond farewells expressed. My last night at Brian's was uneventful apart from the biting cold I froze. We did sit in bed looking at photos and drinking red wine. I actually met a Greek girl at the wine shop. She and some kids were playing Risk, which I taught them. So they gave me curry and rice and glasses of wine free. Fantastic. I love that game, Risk. Yesterday I went with Brian on business calls to Pretoria and said goodbye to my old friend at 4:45 p.m. until we meet again. That'd be 4 years till I was to see Brian again, or 3 years, and then after that another 33 years till last year when I saw him. End of July. A week already gone and heaps to report. My last night in Joburg, Dave took me to a Chinese restaurant and then to Jamison's, where I got quite pissed. Lastly onto the junction, but I was well and truly past it. Trashed at night at Dave's, and in the morning he took me shopping for a few last minute goodies. My train companions were a young Scot, a German and a psychiatrist, and the trip passed well. We had a guitar and sang a few ditties. Yeah. Mina was waiting to meet me at the station and was hoping to see me. We went around town a little, ended up meeting Ray at the Waverley, just another usual Waverley night. On Saturday morning I got Air Zimbabwe to admit there was a ticket for me, but that I couldn't change the date without permission from Melbourne. Of course my wishy-washy self debated whether to change it or not. Eventually I did change it, more later on that. So yeah, now I suddenly want to stay longer because I'm having a good time. Before that I wanted to get back as soon as I could. Wishy-washy. Saturday afternoon below was a pleasant day. We went to Castle Brewery, about 12 of us. I'll put a photo of that as well. Yeah, me and these African guys at the brewery. One of them worked there. It got absolutely legless. And sat in the sun enjoying a lot of laughs. Saturday night the fun continued when I went to a party at the Shebeen opposite Isabel's house. Literally danced non-stop. It was good. On Sunday I didn't want to keep drinking at Isabel's, so just spent the day inside watching TV or dozing. Amina was not happy with me. Monday morning up at 5:40 a.m. to walk to Ray's, and he gave me a lift into town for the bus. A long and boring trip. Bought some kudu biltong at the Guai river. That was a hotel halfway there to Wanky. Getting off the bus, I rushed to Dad's and got him as he left work. We popped round to have a beer, met Billy Hamilton and Harry Light, so ended up drinking too many beers for a lunchtime session. Back to wanky habits. Monday afternoon I tried the ticket changing trick. I rang Pauline Ross, Reynolds and Aiden, but all were not home or didn't answer. I concluded Australia was not home. Tried again Tuesday at 6 a.m. and got Pauline Reynolds in her office. We had a nice chat and I gave her details, rang her in an hour and confirmed the change. At lunchtime I rang Qantas in Harare and they received the change. The 13th of the 8th is the go. I got a letter from Spiros saying he wanted to meet me at the airport, so I was touched. Also mail from Jack and George and whiskey. Yesterday I went to Vic Falls with Tommy. We had lunch and drinks at the Rainbow. I booked myself on a flight Victoria Falls to Harare on the 13th of the 8th. After buying a few things, we ended at the Springview for a few drinks before coming back. Last night I went to Tony's and we got quite out of it. Smoked ganja out of a horn and came home totally wasted. So hang on. We're in August. Time report again. Quite an amazing night at Tony's last night. We took a diet pill. Wow. Then smoked dope, drank beer and popped it. It was some night. Oh, we also played a bit of music. Shit hot version of Goanna Solid Rock. The weekend Dad and I went to the game park. It was kind of uneventful weekend and as far as game viewing went, but it was pleasant with a crate of beer present. This morning at 5:30 Amina and the kids arrived. To my surprise, I'd thought she was getting the bus up yesterday and I certainly didn't expecting kids as well. So we're all set to head for Vic Falls for another mini trip. We're booked for Mary's for dinner on Saturday night, Dad and I. Ray and Becky come on Saturday, and on Monday I think I'm going to the river with Tony and Dawn for a few days. Thursday, of course, I go home. Wow. Got some wonderful photos from Whiskey of Rhino. Yeah, they're the photos Whiskey gave me. Whiskey from Nairobi. What great shots they are. The girl is a wonder. Fireworks flew over the weekend. I lost my cool with Priscilla. I pushed her over in the kitchen. She was a real bitch here on Sunday. Yeah, I remember that incident. I mean, Priscilla was also an alcoholic and in the end stages of her drinking. She was talking about my birth mother. I don't know what she was saying. I was drunk as well, and she was a tiny little thing, and I pushed her and she fell over in the kitchen. It wasn't very nice. Today, Saturday, is our last day on my little holiday to the falls, so I better fill in. Firstly, we arrived and we were lucky to get a river chalet for the first night. It was lovely. We bride some meat, drank beer. I took the kids to the local game park and we had a confrontation with a nice elephant. Thursday was Amina's birthday, so I dropped her at the hair salon, then took the kids to the crocodile farm where we all held a baby crocodile and saw some huge ones in the afternoon. Yeah, Amina got her hair beaded. I think I've got a photo of it. It looks fantastic. While I drank, Amina met us there with her hair done. Looks great. We had to move into the chalets in town. I bought her a cake and we all had a little. Thursday night I took Amina back to the Rainbow and we met Duncan from the bakery, so we got quite pissed. Yesterday I walked across to Zambia early in the morning. The falls were lovely there. I took lots of photos. I got a taxi into Livingston, spent some time looking around, went to the museum and bought some bangles and stamps. I stopped for a beer at the Intercontinental before walking around a bit more. Last night we went to Vic Falls for a meal. Not as good as last time. Last night I saw off Amina at the station. I must say it really was sad. I've grown to expect to see her every few weeks. She left me a lovely note and I was very touched. I stopped by Tony's to see about our river trip and of course ended up drinking beer and getting stoned. When I got home I ravished some stew and chips. I bought some goodies and went to Tony's for a morning. Tequila and Tabasco. About 12:30 we left and made our way down to the river where we set up camp, drank some beer and went for a sundown cruise. It was so serene and quite beautiful. Yeah, it was a fantastic few days with him and his wife. We took bongo drums, we took guitars, lots of dope. He had a speedboat, we went up and down the river, braai flaces every night. I really got on well with Tony, he was a great guy. At night we had a braai, smoked dope, and Tony played drums. After a while I hacked away on an old guitar. We all crashed in our sleeping bags in contented euphoria. This morning we went out fishing, and once again just beautiful on the river. Saw a lovely fish, eagle plus a hippo grazing. And while I took some shots, now Tony cooks breakfast, and it seems we're off to go to Cairo this afternoon. On Saturday night we went to a party on Sikabella Road, all coloureds, so it was good. I bought some LPs along, picked up Amina at midnight, and generally had a good party. So we're now on the 13th of the 8th. I must be getting ready to go home. So I've been gone 10 months. Seated at Harare Airport, it's that day I've alternately looked forward to or dreaded. Now my feelings are totally null. Let me catch up though. I had a lovely time at the river, just one of the best times I've had. We ate brilliant food, basked in the sun, drank, fished and hooted around in the boat. We actually went to Milabezi, the mouth of Kariba, one night were possibly more enjoyable, keeping under African nights, singing and talking. On the Wednesday we stopped at the Angling Club where I got quite pissed, another singing performance. This morning time we pack, go for a walk, saying goodbyes to the bakery and Dawn at Number 1 Club. I drove to the Falls Airport, and the plane was one of the new 2 weeks old acquisitions. Now I get here to be told Qantas has been delayed by an hour. I should have all these thoughts and laments to write down, but really I just face the future with apprehension. I don't know what I'm going to do in Australia, but I don't know what I'd do here or anywhere for that matter. That's that discontented sensation. I couldn't stay there. I wanted to come home desperately, but didn't want to come home. As for this trip, I guess I'm a little disappointed by failure, but I'm planning to compile a book of Africa. It should be impressive. On the 14th, I'm already in Perth waiting for my Melbourne flight, and guess what? I'm watching Hawthorn play WA on football. The flight so far was reasonable. I had 2 seats to myself, so I had a little sleep. Ate little and drank no alcohol. Thoughts of the last flight? Yeah, that flight in '83 was horrendous. I rang Paul and Ross, spoke to Megan, Kate and surprised Carol, Canadian girl from Athens. She's staying at Noira Street. Apparently I haven't realised that the domestic terminus was so far from Perth Airport, so I had to take a taxi. The Aussie accent sounds strange, and I've told the people here in the bar that I'm from Kenya. It's a laugh being strange. I don't know what to write. It's such early days yet to judge my feelings about return. I may leave it a week before having another entry. All I can say is this diary will have to stand as just a little insight into my year of life. It is by no means a good display of my feelings until then. So the 3rd of September, almost a year since I left. Diane's birthday signals a good time to end this diary, and my head races with things to write. I've had my share of problems getting back into life here. I can't say it's all been easy, but now I get to the stage I don't know if it bothers me where I am. Now on to news, lots of it. I bought a bass and I've been enjoying it very much. We'll see how long the novelty lasts. Not long. Bass guitar. Yesterday I got my slides back, and I must say they're excellent. I really got some classic slide shows coming soon, I think. I mentioned those slides that I'd found recently. It seems I'll be starting work on Monday at V-Line. Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, I've started Greek again and I love it. I don't know if that's good or not. I'm a contractor, so I suppose I can split if it starts going wrong. I'm down to $300 in the bank, so it will be handy. Of course, Di is still there. I've seen her twice and we've got on well. In fact, I'm happy with the way we get on. We won't be able to go out again, but at least we have so much good feeling for each other. But whether even our little meetings will be able to continue, I don't know. All my friends are still around and I'm in various states of well-being. I have the Datsun back for $600. Tonight I'm going to see a faith healer. This is interesting. I'm very scared that I'm heading for a crash. I have such negative thoughts on my future. My sexuality is very screwed up. It's probably the first time I've ever admitted that. I lack direction in life and I need a little help. I don't know if she can help, but I'll try. As for girlfriends, met a few nice girls, but nothing special. I'm waiting for a spectacular catch. I'm taking Rena out for tea tomorrow night, but I think she's out of my league. I don't know how to end this story. Perhaps I won't. It can live in my heart forever. To all the names at the back of the book, I say thanks. You've made the trip easier. I love you all. And that's about it. And there's all these addresses of people I met along the way. That's a long story. I hope you stuck with some of it. If not, if it just got too boring for you, you haven't seen this ending anyway. But yeah, what a confused person I was in those days. What a confused little bunny. Sexuality, secrets. But we can hear all the drinking towards the end of that time in Zimbabwe. Morning drinking became just the norm. And yeah, the acceleration of the drinking had begun back then in '86, but it wasn't until the year 2000 that I finally confronted it. So I had another 14 years of hell to go through. But yeah, the confusion and not knowing where I wanted to be or what I wanted to do was to continue for all those years. But it's better now. Life is as it should be now. Alright, so thanks for coming along for the ride. You'll be horrified to know there is one more visit to Africa that I'm going to cover in another episode further down the track. But before we do that, we're going to get back into our Boer War monuments, and we'll give Africa and my time in Africa a bit of a break then. So, alright, I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you soon.